Hey everybody, welcome to the What Podcast. I am Lord Taco. Brad and Barry are not here, and that's because they're not here.
They should be here.
They should be here, but we're here, and where are we? We're in a creek.
In an undisclosed location somewhere in Tennessee.
Correct.
We're out here in God's
Secret
country.
Location. We're out here in God's country.
Now it's another beautiful day in God's country.
We're spending the weekend here drinking and sitting in the creek. And so I have a lot of special guests here, so let's go around and just introduce everybody. Right here we have Lindsey.
I'm Lindsey.
Okay, and next to Lindsey we have Brooklyn.
Hi.
Okay.
I'm awesome.
All right.
She's pretty cool.
Right here we have.
I'm Daniel. You probably know me.
I'm JoJo.
I'm Charlotte.
All right, and then of course I'm Russ. And
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cornbread's around here somewhere.
Yeah, Cornbread the corgi dog.
Homebred's in and out.
How are you, Russ? Did you have a good Bonnaroo?
I had a great Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I heard the backstage stories and everything. I heard about your adventures and everything.
We had a lot of adventures, yes.
You got to do what many people didn't this year and go party at the Manchester Walmart.
Yes, Had a good time at the Walmart. Spent Tuesday night there. Made some friends. Hung out. Got into Bonnaroo Wednesday. Got back to media camp.
So let's back up. This was your fourth Bonnaroo now?
Third.
Third. Okay.
Third.
Everything kind of melds together since we skipped a few years.
I know, it's hard to keep track, but yeah, I went 2018, 2019. Of course, 2020 and 2021 didn't happen, so 2022 is my third year.
I feel like some of the other experiences that you had kind of combined into another Bonnaroo, because you went to Exit 111 and we had two mini Bonnaroos here at this location where we're at.
That's right. Lindsey, our host here, he offered up his space for us to have a informal small Bonnaroo gathering when the Bonnaroo was canceled.
My creek is your creek.
Be careful about his creek, though. I heard what he's been doing in this creek.
Sitting, drinking beer.
Yes.
True story.
Skinny dipping in it.
Well, why not?
It's his creek.
Yeah.
It's
Ain't
your
nobody
creek.
out here.
No.
It's a little cold for skinny dipping.
Nah.
Yeah, this creek is spring fed. It's cool, but it's really nice because he put us to work today chopping wood in 95-degree heat.
Yeah.
I was happy to sing for my supper, good sir.
Yes, sir. I shall cook good supper tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So how you feeling about everything week and a half, 2 weeks out? How does this Bonnaroo rank amongst the other ones that you've been to?
This is easily the best one for me, just because I feel like now that I'm kind of more familiar with it, even taking a couple years off, I knew more about what to expect, what to do, what to bring. Still went a little hard. I kind of lost Friday night.
I heard. Why don't you tell everybody what happened?
Well, I don't know what happened.
That's the problem.
Lost.
Yeah, I went back to camp for a little nap. I don't know, maybe around 6 o'clock. Woke up, thought, why is it so dark outside? It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I slept all that time. And so I just went back to bed because what else am I going to do? I slept for like 14 hours.
But you were really amped up for the rest of Bonnaroo after that.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually needed that because I'd been going since Tuesday
Yeah.
and getting by on very little sleep Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then finally Friday, I think my body was just like, I've had it.
Yeah.
So,
we
you know,
got there.
hibernated for a little while, woke up Saturday morning, felt great, felt refreshed, and then I just attacked the rest of the weekend.
I feel like you inadvertently participated in a great pro tip that I heard from someone once, is that if you are arriving early at Bonnaroo and plan on staying until Monday morning, take one day to be kind of a chill day where you don't push yourself as hard. That way, the second half of Bonnaroo, you have just as much energy.
It's a good point because that kind of was the midway point for me, and maybe it was an inadvertent chill day since I unscheduled, but you know, and I missed some shows Friday that I did want to see, but you know, Saturday morning from then on, I was ready. I was happy.
I really
Felt
wish
great.
you hadn't missed that King Gizzard show. You would have loved
I
that.
do too. Well, and I would have because I saw them at Shaky Knees and really enjoyed their show there and thought, man, this is perfect for Bonnaroo. Can't wait. I missed it.
Well, they're one of those bands where you never know what you're going to get. It's a different set list every time.
That's right.
They were a very thrasher, almost punk metal
Yeah, it was.
show
It was
at
a great
Roo
show.
this year. Yeah, he
Great
was
show.
there. He was in the back. Yeah,
Yeah, we were underneath one of the rear fans for that show.
Those are
And
nice.
It was yeah. I'm a fan of the fans.
Yeah, let's talk
Oh,
about the
yes,
fans because
yes.
we didn't even bring them up on the last show. They put fans inside the tents. This and that had the big ass fans, and they're literally called big ass fans because that's the company that makes them.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, we have a big ass water slide, so we should have big ass fans.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And
Only fans.
they were great,
They were
The only fans.
glorious.
glorious. They should have been there every
Years
year.
ago.
Years ago. Hmm.
I like that the weather kind of forced their hand on that one. I feel like when they knew that it was going to be pushing 100, they had to have that because otherwise, think about how many people fit in this and that tent? Probably 1,000, couple thousand. I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to be able to cool off that many hot bodies at Bonnaroo, right?
You
And
do.
this was my 10th
Yeah.
Bonnaroo, and the changes that they've made this year, it felt like for me, it was they made the biggest, smartest changes as far as the main infrastructure things that I've ever seen them make. And even the design and the layout of Bonnaroo, I thought was brilliant on their part.
What were the other improvements that you liked?
So you saw, I don't know if you felt the new pass-through between what and that, where they have a new bridge. It's a much wider area there, so you don't have that pinch point right by the arch and those food vendors. You had that wide open space, and it made it so easy to go from what to the bathrooms over near which, or to go over to that. Plus while I think when I went in not happy about the location of the Brewers Fest tent, of Who's Brews, I guess is what they called
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't like that they moved it out to the side
Yeah.
initially, because that was a good stopping point. Don't get the microphone wet.
Sorry, I kicked the mic.
Good job, Taco.
But in the end of it, it made sense just for passing through there. Unfortunately, I didn't partake in Who's Brew Fest, which probably saved me about $300 over the weekend.
Ooh.
Charlotte and I stopped by it one night, you remember?
Yeah, we stopped by, but I didn't like that they renamed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot of renaming.
Yeah. I was looking to see if Pontoon was in there because they were such good sponsors and friends to Camp Redery with their beer exchange, but they weren't
They weren't
officially
in there,
there. I was mistaken. I thought they were. Lindsey, was that whole setup that they had at the Brewers Tent or whatever it's called now, was that the same thing that they had at Exit 111 years ago? Because I noticed they were
It
showing
was
ball
about
games.
half the size.
Really?
Of the sports bar at Exit 111. At 111, you had two main bars, and then the tent was at least twice as big
Wow.
as what they had for Brewers Fest. And tables, giant screen TV. There were like 4 or 5 giant screen TVs. So
It was great, and we talked about this because there's a chance that I probably bought a beer from you at Exit 111 before I even knew who you were, because
Probably.
you were there selling beer, and I went there, and we hadn't met. So, but I was definitely buying beers, so
Yep.
you probably sold me a beer.
I spent a lot of time in that sports bar slinging drinks.
I hope I tipped you well.
I'll just go out on a limb and say you did.
Yeah.
I usually do.
How do y'all feel about something like that where it's like showing, like I went in there and they were showing the Braves game, and Lord knows I love Atlanta Braves and baseball, but like I didn't really know how I felt about being yanked into the real world while I was inside center.
Yeah.
Well, in the past they've done, like when the Nashville Predators were in the playoffs, they
See-
played it
That's
on
true.
the Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
They've played basketball playoffs either in the cinema tent or on Witch screens, and I think it's a great idea because it gets somebody who may not be wanting to fully check out the real world, or maybe a huge baseball fan,
Yeah.
can go and drink a few beers and watch some of the game and then go out and hit their next show.
That's a good point because
Yeah.
when the Predators were pretty far in the NHL playoffs a couple of years ago, they played that at Witch Stage, and there was a lot of people because there's a lot
I
of
have a
Tennessee
T-shirt
people.
from that.
And then we
Yeah.
lost.
They
I
lost,
know.
yeah.
I don't want to go there.
Oh well, one of these days.
Yeah, I think Kyle, he wanted to watch the baseball game, didn't he? The Bonnaroovian?
Kyle, the Bonnaroovian, is really big into
Basketball.
NBA. Yes.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
is from Philly, so he reps the Sixers and the Phillies. He is a sports nut. He loves that kind of stuff, especially Philly stuff.
Yeah, so somebody like him would absolutely want to
Oh,
watch
he
a
was.
game.
He was, and I had people ask us in the RV if we had, because we when the Preds were in 19, when the Preds were still playing, we brought the satellite dish and were able to watch games. And Kat Kat Mildorf, shout out to you. Her and her husband. They asked me if we had the hockey games, the playoff games on at the RV, but we didn't bring the thing because we just didn't have time to do it.
Yeah.
What were some of the other changes or improvements you like, Lindsey?
The new road to open up the highway entrance was really nice for RV. When we got there Tuesday, it was a breeze to go through checkpoint. I liked that RV had their own entrance.
Lindsey, you're the only one of us that went through the regular GEA entrance. How did that run for you? What time did you come in? Like, how was it?
We got there at about 10:15 in the morning on Tuesday. It took them 5 minutes to check 4 RVs.
Really?
Granted, they're all done at the same time. It took us longer, I think, to close all of the doors than it was for them to check. It was a breeze. The folks that were parking us in RV were super friendly and helpful in making sure that our group of 4 could get all together, and we ended up actually being 5 of our mini Roo crew all together, and it was good. Other improvements that I liked, the wristbands seemed to always work really well. I noticed they had new software on the iPads that they were using.
You mean for paying for stuff?
Yeah, for paying for stuff, and new scanners. And I don't know if that's Spectrum or Bonnaroo, but those worked really good. And had I been bartending, I would have really appreciated that more so.
It was an upgrade, and they had those at Shaky Knees too. I noticed
Those
that was
type
the
of
first time I
scanners?
saw it. Yeah, so they're faster. They just work better.
Made it super easy.
Super
Charlotte,
easy.
I think you and I could admit we probably spend a little bit more because of the wristband payment.
Definitely.
You're like,
Yeah.
pizza?
I
Why not?
definitely as
Smoothie?
well.
Why not?
Yeah, you got to be careful. And then a bunch of people were talking about after they left Bonnaroo, like they'll go to get gas and they try to pay with their wristband at the pump.
I tried it in Cracker Barrel.
In Cracker Barrel?
Barrel.
Nice.
I think Allison tried it at Walmart and it didn't work.
I'm like, oh wait, I'm not at Roo anymore.
Yeah.
That would be clever.
It's so easy buying a $15 grilled cheese with that wristband.
It's too easy. I know. If you're not careful, you're just like, yeah, give me that. And you're just scanning your wristband everywhere you go. And then before you know, you've spent like...
Let me just say, I know that there has long been this like mythical story of the dollar grilled cheese. I paid $13 for a grilled cheese, but it was like barbecue
Gourmet.
grilled cheese. It was amazing.
Yeah, but you can go home and make the exact same thing.
I'm going to be
Like,
making
it's basic
fried egg grilled
ingredients.
cheeses here later tonight.
Fried egg.
Fried egg grilled cheeses, right, Russ?
Yeah, you gave me one of those last time I was here. And at first I was like, huh? You're going to put a what on it? And then I was like,
Strawberry goat
I get it.
cheese.
So let me
and
tell you a
spinach was
wristband trick for budgeting that I did this year. So I typically have always brought cash that I use for refereeing soccer. I added the cash to my PayPal account, attached the wristband to my PayPal account, and then each morning I could go and log into my app and see exactly how much I spent the previous day and know that
okay.
I'm still budgeted out.
Yeah.
Because it's
That's
you
smart.
have this set. It's like in my pile of cash, right?
Yeah.
You would carry $100 in, and that was your booze and food for the night. Having the PayPal really helped. So kudos to PayPal for making that really easy.
there you go. There's a top tip for you.
Yeah, I also like the awards that you could get for recycling. So there
Yeah.
was
The turn cups.
Yes, the turn cups.
Can you
'Cause-
explain that? I never used
So,
it.
well, if you bought a drink, they had these really nice orange reusable
Yes.
cups in Bonnaroo.
And the lemonade came in clear ones.
Yes, and they had certain receptacles for them, and you would dump it and scan the QR code and put in your wristband information. And then if you were lucky, so I won $25. It just appeared in my PayPal
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
wow.
with
Hey,
my wristband
nice.
turning in a cup. There were some other friends that I met at Roo that said they won platinum tickets for next year
Wow.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
for
Dang, I didn't
recycling
participate
a
in
cup.
that. Shame on me.
So I like that it promoted recycling and sustainability at Bonnaroo, and
Yeah.
it was really clean in Bonnaroo, I think, because of those incentives.
I saw a couple on Loophole Facebook page that were upgraded to VIP
I
at
saw that,
Bonnaroo.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was
Nice.
pretty cool. I did. The cups were nice. It's nice to drink out of a nice cup.
Yep.
Right?
And that lavender lemonade
Oh my God,
was
yes.
so
I never had
good.
that.
The
Joe would know about that.
hibiscus tea was really good.
Well, I tried to scan my wristband for the cup return, and it wouldn't take it. Maybe because mine's media, maybe they don't count those, but
Yeah.
it never worked for
Well, you
me.
had to do it with your phone.
I did. and then
Well, your wristband was messed up from the get-go.
Yeah,
Clearly.
he told about that. So, Taco, I know you guys didn't have exactly the GA experience in the media area. Did we want to talk a little bit about kind of like what everybody here experienced on the GA side a little bit?
Yes, and that's kind of why we wanted to have you guys on and
That's
talk
why we're
about
doing
this,
this,
because we did not have your typical Bonnaroo experience. We talked about it and then got some feedback that people would rather hear something more relatable. So
I talk too much on our podcast and stuff, so why don't we go to the people who usually don't talk as much and start with like Brooklyn and Charlotte and Lindsey and JoJo? Who wants to
Beauty
volunteer?
before age, please.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Brooklyn, would you like to start
That'll be
first?
you then.
Brooklyn, tell us some of the pros and cons of GA this year.
So the pro is definitely, I would have to say, the community, and a lot of that, like in my case, I have to thank for Lindsey for, because of him, I got to know basically like almost everybody in Bonnaroo. A lot of friends in RV camping, and just like being inside of Bonnaroo and running into people that you've hung out with in the campsites, especially in group camping, which is really fun. And I highly recommend for people going solo. I just generally love the community, and getting to know friends. That's one of my favorite parts of Bonnaroo. However, there was some cons this year that I've never seen at Bonnaroo. For instance, a particular security guard was harassing us about plugging in the bus, and it just negative energy. It was really bad. Thank God Lindsey was there to help me out with that.
Can you speak a little bit to the stories that we heard from other women?
So some stories that we heard of this exact same security guard. What I heard, that he was just walking up and down the gravel road talking about I'm gonna say it, underage women, and just looking at women's outfits and just being completely disgusting and a complete predator, honestly. And like every time he would come up to me, I felt super uncomfortable, and he would always single me out, and I can't imagine how many times he has done that. Very, very bad vibes from this man.
So it was a little bit of a widespread problem, because we had a lot of people come to visit the Roo Bus, and I heard this same sort of story from a lot of women from all over the campground area. And I even heard some of it myself. I believe all the women who were telling me this stuff, but I even heard some of it in person. I was going over to House Yes with Charlotte one day, and I was waiting in line for the bathroom, and I was on the other side of the fence. And I heard some of the men security guards saying some absolutely filthy stuff to women that were walking by. We're going to do a whole podcast on Storytime with the Roo Bus here in a few weeks about this, so we can hear stories from women, because this is, from my perspective, the biggest problem in GA this year that needs to be fixed, even more so than the line issues. We'll talk about it some other time. But anyway, I'm sorry, I don't mean to hijack this, Brooklyn. What else do you have to say?
I don't know, just being present. Yes, it was a long walk from group camping to the Arch, but I feel like we were privileged in knowing a lot of the community. So like it's like a walking through the neighborhood kind of thing, we walk from the bus, and then my route was, I always went straight to Bonnaroo and stopped at their camp, chatted with them, took
Lindsey's
a shot,
camp.
And then I would go straight through the RVs. One time I got really hot, and Lindsey, I laid down in front of your giant fan.
In front of your giant what?
That fan was clutch.
Oh, fan.
I had a
Okay.
You had
big
a
ass
huge
fan.
Your only fan?
Yeah.
Your
I
only
had my
fan?
only
That was
fan.
your only fan?
Yeah.
That fan was clutch. Tuesday and Wednesday, let me tell you. And Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday. Well, no, I mean, the GA experience, I've done GA since 2018. Started off I did Plaza 2 one year, and then went RV ever since. And the experience, for RV this year, it was great. I think initially, since we got there on Tuesday, they had us on this little oasis. It was like 20 RVs out in the middle of the field. I didn't understand why they didn't park us all together constantly.
That was weird.
But
Yeah.
I think it had to do with the power situation, with the way people had bought power. but we were on our little oasis island. Of course, the one of the couples that camped with us, Sam and Lauren from Texas, they make brisket breakfast tacos.
Oh,
every
yeah.
morning.
I can vouch,
Yes.
they're delicious.
Yeah.
And they made tacos every morning. They were out there at 9 o'clock in the morning making tacos. And Brooklyn.
Somebody's alarm.
Yeah.
Someone's phone's ringing.
Keep telling us about it, Lindsay, while she gets that.
So they made tacos every morning, and they fed camp. We had the parking people show up and get tacos from us, and I think that helped us make arrangements with Ryan and Jordan. And then they would just carry the community. They would carry a tub of like 70 tacos around camp, and just offering out free tacos to anybody who wanted a free taco. And
That's so Bonnaroovian, man.
so
It is.
But that's their thing, and they would come back, and Lauren would have her tote, and there would be 3 or 4 beers. Some they had never tried the Mountain Dew,
What?
the hard Mountain Dew.
Oh, the Baja Blast?
No, like
no,
the
alcoholic Mountain Dew.
Oh.
There's a
I
that we have here in Tennessee.
yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't had it either.
And like they had all kind of party favors. They had people just give them stuff and
Oh.
trade, and they're like, yeah, this is how we buy our friends at Bonnaroo, which is so
Tacos.
cool. It's a typical Bonnaroo. When
I like to buy friends with tacos, too.
When I used
I
to
am for
go
sale.
in vendor or GA, I was always the old dude who had 2 deep cycle batteries and plenty of power to charge devices and a giant flagpole to where everybody could go back and find camp. And so you have people that are like that just, hey, come sit in my shade.
Mm-hmm.
Come enjoy my fan. Come listen to my music. Come drink a beer with me. People put up there was one, an arch and a disco ball tower.
Oh, yes, we saw
in
that.
RV. And it was awesome because it was a perfect landmark. Say, okay, I get here, and I turn left, and I am right straight to camp.
You know, that's the funny thing about GA is, like, after a day or two, you know all the landmarks that people have put up at their campsites, so you know, like, shortcuts and where to find friends that you've met and such.
Turn left at the gold Kia, turn
Yeah.
right at the blue Subaru, and you'll be at camp.
You know, it's funny what you were talking about our friends that were giving out tacos. Like, one of my favorite, like, metaphors in the GA experience at Bonnaroo is you see these, like, kiddie pools or whatever where people put a sign that says, give something, take something.
Yeah.
And that ethos extends to so much.
yes.
The whole
so cool.
campground. You give something to someone, maybe they don't return something, but you're going to have something returned to you down the road or the next day from someone else. There's this weird karma that only works at Bonnaroo that you just don't see at other festivals.
Yep.
Speaking of giving something, can you give me a beer?
Oh, what would you like? I think it's
take a
time
wild
here.
guess.
I think what it's time for. Here we go.
I think
It's
it's time
the only
for-
one in this cooler that has won a blue ribbon.
It's time for an award-winning.
Yes. Taco, who should go next talking about their GA experience?
Let's hear from JoJo.
Well,
How many
I am-
Bonnaroos have you been to? First of
I
all,
am blissfully ignorant in that this was my first Bonnaroo. So
First
everything
one.
was perfect.
all right.
So all of these things like that Lindsey mentioned about improvements over the years, I didn't know they were improvements because it's the first time I've seen them. So overall, I really enjoyed the fans that we've spoke about in the tents, the misting fans. The overall response community-wise, I was just like High Five Friday, like these leaning in and helping anyone in need. The verbiage of the farm provides, which I understand that. How if there is a need, it appears to you. You make friends instantly. There is no stranger at Bonnaroo.
Exactly.
And I felt before going sort of anxious, not knowing. But when I got there, I felt fully welcomed and part of something that I will go back to many years to come.
I have a question for you. What was the point where it really clicked for you, where you really got what the place was about?
When we got there, first met in the misting tent Kevin. Shout out to Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin from Red River.
Yeah.
He was one of the individuals. He was the guard over the Mister
security guard,
tent.
Kevin.
Oh,
Security
Kev, the
guard.
security guard. He
Yeah.
was our security guard of the year. Yeah.
And
That's the sound of a good time right
Thank you,
there.
Lindsay.
just having that just welcoming conversation. Oh, it's your first Bonnaroo. Oh, you should do this. You should do that. and just this absolute welcome. What are you into? What would you like? Just this. There's something for everybody at Bonnaroo.
Yep. Nice.
Great point. And
Agreed.
I think attendance was down this year, but there were a lot of first timers who'd never been.
Most of it was first time.
A lot of it, yeah.
And shout out to the people that tried to come twice and couldn't and stuck it out and finally came this time.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, well, I tried to go last year. I tried to go in 2020. But they stuck it out and they made it to 2022, and that was their first year, and I think it was a great first year for a lot of people.
Bonnaroo is going to have a lot of good positive word of mouth for next year. It would shock me if the numbers weren't at least like 10, 15, 20K more than it was this year.
I think so.
One thing I didn't like this year was they didn't promote High Five Friday.
Okay, so...
And there was a lot of newbies there, and I tried to spread the word, but it's just not taking
Can you
usually does.
Indulge me for a minute. This is one of the constructive criticisms that I have for Bonnaroo. They have not done the best job of communicating traditions like the code and High Five Friday and the Bismarcky song and some of the other things.
No, I think they had true written on all of the big screens in between.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
That yes, but fun a community.
But is that not just a community, a grassroots thing? Have they ever promoted?
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Say
used-
just a friend.
It used to be in the-
I know High Five Friday they
buttons.
did, but
Yeah.
singing a Bismarcky song, have they
I
ever
recall
promoted that?
there being mention of it in the old books that they would hand out, which they gave when you came in, which they don't do anymore.
Nope.
That's another thing.
I make an Excel schedule, by the way, Venmo. if you like it, donate for beer money. But anyway, sorry.
Did you know that?
Free
Go ahead,
I've seen
Joseph.
some of those older books because you let me borrow some to look through, but looking at the app, which was helpful, I didn't see any of that on the app.
That's true.
No, the app was kind of lacking. It
They
didn't
have
work.
an app?
Definitely.
They have an app.
Lindsay didn't even know
I
that.
didn't even open the app
Exactly.
this year. I didn't even open
The
my
app
phone
was
hardly.
infuriating.
Except to take a picture.
Lack
Yeah.
of a paper schedule really,
Yeah.
really got me.
I understand the economy is a lot different than it was pre-pandemic, but it was very apparent where they were cutting a lot of corners. And
Yeah.
in the past, things like that are understandable, but this year it was a little perturbing how many corners they cut with, not handing out a schedule, only having one entrance.
I mean, it's not to be all doom and gloom, but my phone is, even though I had a little bit of power in the bus, my phone is half dead most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking at, and I'm trying not to look at my phone at Bonnaroo because I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
you really shouldn't.
Now,
Yeah.
I did
From the
notice
real
in the
world,
plazas they had the sort of three-walled, standing-alone schedule boards.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So was that a new thing?
That's, I think, has always been
Because
there.
ours was in Plaza 5 next to the Mister tent and
I
next
think-
to the bus.
They've always had some schedules posted around, but I think that in itself is kind of new.
That you mean for the individual schedules for each plaza. So when you
Yeah.
go there, there's a
And
big
it had
board.
a map. It
Yeah,
had
it had a
a
map.
map
Yeah.
for general reference too.
And another piece of credit that I'll give them that was great is I love the different signage and messaging that they would put on the new LED arch. It would show, like, if you're walking
Yeah, that
in, it
was
would
pretty
show, like,
badass.
okay, here's the upcoming shows at these places and what
Oh
time
no,
they
I
start.
never saw it do that.
Yeah, I saw it a few times, yeah. Did you ever see it when it was telling, like, these very
I was gonna ask,
NSFW
did
stories?
you tell it a secret?
I
Did
did
you tell
not,
the
but I
arch a
saw
secret?
some very juicy stories on it a few times.
Did you guys? So, total, left turn here. The arch was glorious,
Oh, yes.
absolutely glorious. It was well worth the wait from Squarchy. Did you notice when after Stevie Nicks, when we all left, they cycled through
Yes.
all of the old
Yeah.
arch
That was
designs?
so
It was
heartwarming.
beautiful.
I'm so mad I did not get a video of that.
Charlotte and
It
I
was
saw
so
it.
beautiful.
That's what that
Shout
was.
out to
Okay, 'cause
Bonnaroo.
I remember watching that.
Bonnaroo got a great video, and he put it
Yeah.
on his Twitter.
Okay, I'll have to go check that out.
Okay, yeah. I didn't see that either.
Because it was, they had you remember the rabbit in the hat?
That was 16.
They had an image of that
Yeah.
for 2016.
The
on
rainbow one.
The same color.
Yeah.
They had the rainbow. They had the silver. They had the red or the green one.
I loved
it
that.
Was, it was
Such a
glorious.
nostalgic and emotional thing.
I did get emotional
Yeah,
just watching
that
it.
was one thing
Dad and I
that
stood
did
there.
really great. The new arch is fantastic. It's clearly bigger than the old one. They used it for so many different creative and inventive things. That was a big win
Wait,
for
so
Bonnaroo.
this arch is different than the arch?
Yeah, the
before?
original
It
one was
changes
a
every year.
plywood thing with little sparkle hang tags on.
Yeah.
This was all new, and because they teased it.
We were going to
year.
have it last
We
time.
were going to have it last time.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me like it got better every single day graphic wise. The
Yeah.
first one you said, welcome home.
We missed you.
Yeah.
Welcome back. We missed you. And then they really got into the graphics of it. I saw a new modern looking Roo logo with a space
Yeah.
theme on the. It looked like the stars that we were staring at last night. It
Real
was
quick,
amazing.
did you notice when on the last day when they were cycling through all the other ones, one of them was the very first one where it just says Roo. that was back at the first or second one where there wasn't really an arch. It was just kind of like a much smaller wooden structure that just said Roo. That was it. Me and Charlotte noticed that
That
on
was
our way
neat.
out. Yeah.
Well, let's
Kudos to that thing. That
yeah.
thing was
Well, let's
just
back up and just kind of tell the story because the arch was up until 2019 just a wooden structure, static, no graphics, no
Yeah.
not powered or anything.
Sequins.
They decorated it and it looked great, but then they burned it to the ground because
Bugs.
it was bugs and it was made of wood and it was rotting and it was just not safe.
It was the bees from the left side of what had split.
Oh yeah,
and
Yes,
serious,
the bees
serious,
had migrated
terrible
to the
problem.
arch.
The bees, man, it's terrible. It's terrible.
terrible.
But I think what happened was they got there, about a month or two before 2019, and didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, this has got to go. So they had to really scramble really quick to have something, and that's where Squarchy came from.
Yes, so the Squarch, it's called
Squarch
the Squarch
was
because
fun.
it was just a square entrance with just generic LED panels on it. It really wasn't like made custom because, like you said, they found out at the last minute. They kind of had to scramble and get something. So at least they had something,
It was okay.
and it was okay.
I liked it. I thought it was. It's.
But now
it
you
was
got
fun.
the best of both worlds.
The designs
Yes. I mean,
on
it was
were
nice having it for
super
1 year.
cheesy, and I hated it, and I hated Squarchy, but I saw the future in what
Squarchy.
Squarchy was.
So
Yeah.
We love Squarchy though.
I
We
hope
hate
that
Levin.
they continue it. So the other side was just a big vinyl thing that they had stretched and put on, like the side that faces the wet stage. I would love to see the LED signage on that side, on the other side as well.
Yeah. That would be-
Hopefully that's a
that would-
natural evolution.
and new
Yeah.
flowers, different flowers next year.
Flowers? Oh, you mean the little
The flowers on the
decorations?
side of it.
Yeah.
I did like that.
It was
they,
cute.
That they
It
were
was
UV.
really pretty.
It was.
Excuse me.
What's the
Goodness.
other big thing you noticed? In that big giant field above the big giant stage. The
New Bonnaroo logo sign.
Yeah.
That was
On
great.
the
During
stage?
Stevie Nicks, I
Yeah.
could not stop staring
So,
at it.
did you notice that the colors and the patterns would change along with the stage lighting? That was great.
And then it was all blinky and trippy during Stevie. Oh,
Yeah, I
That
noticed
was
that
beautiful.
at the tool show. They had it kind of synchronized with the
Yeah.
colors.
graphics and the colors.
It was very cool.
Yeah, I had
Oh.
was not seen that before.
Did you notice one thing that was lacking? This is another piece of constructive criticism. You know the people that do this. They didn't do it this year. No fireworks this year.
so I think the way the fireworks were this year is Bonnaroo bought fireworks packages,
Really?
or pyro packages, and then the artist had to buy them from Bonnaroo. I don't think a lot of them participated in that. And no, we didn't have the little fireworks show like we had.
Used to
in
be
previous years.
there would be some fireworks go off during kind of like a signature song
I think
of
it's
the headliner.
I think that was probably a financial cutback.
yeah, see, I don't
Could
like
it
that.
also have been like too hot and there was like a fire warning?
possible.
Yeah, it-
Oh, I mean fireworks.
There were
and
fireworks in the
are expensive,
campgrounds
too,
that I
so.
saw.
I think that's something like you have to have a little grandeur of a big festival, and if you've seen the fireworks go off, like say they had fireworks go off during U2 playing Elevation, or LCD Sound System playing one of their signature songs.
Remember the year sign in 2016? I think it was during Pearl Jam that went up and lit off halfway through Pearl Jam a little early.
Oh.
So if you have been to Bonnaroo many years and you've seen the great moment of fireworks going off during a headliner, it's a bit of a letdown. You remember Odessa? They weren't even strictly headlining that year, and there was great fireworks that
Yeah.
went off during some of their songs.
I think it was a financial cutback probably.
Yeah, so
Porter
that's my
Robinson at Okeechobee. He was closing out the festival, but he released fireworks to Sad Machine.
That was great.
If you're into Porter Robinson, I wasn't expecting fireworks for Porter, but even without the fireworks, this show was
Yeah.
really great. But I thought at least Stevie would have fireworks.
Yeah, you would think they would go off during Edge of 17 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, closing it out the whole weekend. Yeah.
It's a bit of a letdown.
The memes of that song that have been on social of, as soon as the first note, people come running. Even though it was late in the set, I just had this envision of people just still flocking to the stage.
It was a little bit like that because on Sunday people are really worn out and kind of like taking it easy and lay down. But when she sang one of her like top hits, people pop up and be like, "Okay, here we go."
Yeah.
Dad absolutely loved that show. I think he stood up and sang every single song.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Dad is 75 at his second Bonnaroo.
Can we talk a little bit about Stevie? I was so impressed with her. Sometimes my favorite artists are the people that come in and like cut up and tell stories and kind of play to the crowd. That's one reason I loved Lionel Richie years ago because he was so funny and was like interacting with everybody. It was like sitting down with Aunt Stevie telling you like old stories and her.
Yeah.
Here, let me tell you a story, then let me sing you a song. And I know some people don't like a lot of talk in between songs.
I love it.
I think the way she did it was great.
Exactly.
Yes, she can't hit the high notes like she used to, but it was so much fun just listening to her stories and then watching her performance. It was great.
That was one reason that Paul McCartney was so great back in 2013.
Yeah, because he tells stories.
Because, like, you're going to sit down and listen to him when he's telling you stories about hanging out with Jimi Hendrix or, like, old Beatles stories. So, like, for Stevie to tell us stories about crazy things about Fleetwood back in the 70s.
Her and Tom, yeah.
And, oh, my gosh, when she sang the Tom Petty song, oh, my God,
Yeah,
so much emotion.
I was teary-eyed. There was dust in my eyes or
goodness.
something.
Because, they were, like, BFFs back in the day.
Yeah.
That was, oh, my gosh, that was something really special.
Well, and you heard her say that her dream was to be in the band Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. The Heartbreakers. And then now to know that she busted her butt, worked her butt off, and she got there and got to live that dream with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I think was really, really cool.
She sang a Zeppelin song, too, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Which one? It was
that song was performed twice.
Yeah, because Robert was there.
Because Robert played it. Robert Plant and Allison played it, which was a neat version because it was much more chill, mellow, and then she plays the rock and roll version.
Another one you missed.
I missed.
Because
Yeah,
you went to sleep.
that was Friday night, and I missed it. Yep.
That was fantastic.
I know. I have regrets.
Let me put it this way. All right. Obviously it's like 40, 50 years removed from, the old Led Zeppelin days, but he was getting pretty close to hitting some of those same old notes,
He
man.
sounded great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That more like Tennessee country version of rock and roll that they did. Oh, that was so good. That's one of those kind of only at Bonnaroo kind of moments, man.
Yeah, and that was the same song that Stevie did.
That's right. You're right. Yeah. I forgot.
They came out and did that during the encore.
That was so good.
Yeah.
You're making me feel bad that I missed it.
That's on you, man.
It is on me.
Sorry, bro.
You also missed it?
Yeah, I also missed it.
Did you take an unscheduled 14-hour nap?
No, I was having an intense conversation with some friends and group camping.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like
After Rez.
And
Nice.
like aside from Tool and every other set there and maybe one other, every other set was very simple and cleanly done. I liked the lights they had at Stevie, but also like Nathaniel Rateliff when he played. Very simple.
I missed that. I heard very good things.
Dad showed up at the GA rail, and I didn't even know it. He was up there on the GA rail just partying for that one.
That Nathaniel Rateliff show, that's where I ran into you, because we caught a little bit of that.
We were out there by the beer booth.
Yeah.
And we hung out, and there were like 7 of us from camp out there.
Yeah. And that was probably the surprise set for me, was because I, had heard him, but I was blown away by that show.
I know Brad had like highly encouraged you to go to that one.
He did, and yeah.
I was super tired and fed up with just. I was not in a good space, so I like wandered Centeroo for like an hour, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go over to What, and then so I get over to What field, and I was like, I'm gonna go lay down in the shade of the stage. And so I walked up, and there was a spot big enough for my tapestry. Laid down on the stage, just looked up at the sky and the clouds and the people standing around. I think I took a 5-minute power nap, got up, met you, and then Nathaniel Rateliff played. We were just jamming the whole time. It was
great, yeah.
So, Taco, since we're talking about like GA experience things, I feel one thing we would be remiss to not talk about is kind of like the one entrance. I alluded to it earlier. I know
Yeah.
you guys didn't get to experience that since you were in the media compound and everything.
Yeah, it's not something that we experience, so not much we could say about it. But you guys definitely
Well,
saw it.
It was scary the first day.
yeah, everybody else talked about it first. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was just this rush that happened. They opened up one new check line, and I was right behind Charlotte, and it was just this mad dash, and I thought we were going to be
Right.
Well, we pretty much were stampeded.
It had a
pushed
very
and shoved.
Travis Scott feel.
What time of the day was that?
It was
It was night.
roughly 8:30 on Thursday.
8:39.
Okay.
And the guy just comes up, the guard or whatever comes up, and he just opens the gate, and everybody just goes.
Yep. And
Yeah.
prior to that, there was the medical incident where that young man had the heat stroke.
It was very scary.
And
He
they-
passed out. They had to carry him away.
I'm going to be honest with you. I had trouble sleeping that night because I legitimately didn't know if that guy was alive or dead.
But the medical officer ran to grab, picked up, ran into Center Roo, and I hope he's okay.
I heard that he was.
Okay.
But it was a scary situation. I think it was the only really bad one like that, where like the crowd crush was insane. It was like back to chest, and it really I was like, is this going to turn into like an Astro World situation,
Right.
like
Really?
the
Yeah.
Travis Scott thing?
That's the last thing we
and
want to.
and when I saw the guy pass out and realized. When you were in that situation, there was no way that you could get medical attention. There was no way that you could get water if you were dehydrated. It was
You could
very,
feel
very
the breath
bad.
on the back of your neck from the person.
Luckily, I got to
I mean,
get it.
Wow.
now, I mean, you say that. I mean, we've been in tent shows that are that packed as well, but it's different.
I mean,
from
that's
a
true.
moving
You're right.
line.
You're right.
I didn't ever experience any issues going through the arch. Dad had access, so we could use that a few times, but I would go through the arch as well without. Granted, I was showing up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and once I'm through the gate, I'm there until 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And,
As you should be.
Yes.
yeah.
As
And
God
so
intended.
I
Yeah.
never experienced those lines. There were a few times I went back out to camp and came back in and rolled right in. But I do think that not having two options to go in,
Yeah.
especially for those that are in the where group was or the themed camps that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
I think
family camp. It was a long haul for them. It took us a beer, half a water
That's
bottle.
how he
to get
measures
there. It's a 1 beer, maybe beer and a half walk. We had friends right outside the arch, so we could get another beer. But I think not having the tower entrance, I think, was a hindrance for a lot of people.
Yeah.
we
Seems
should
like-
also agree that it kind of went back on some promises made that people in group or like with the souvenir tents would have a shorter walk, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a selling point on the website.
I will give Bonnaroo credit. I do think that they fixed the issue from Friday onwards by being a lot more lax in security, which I think was necessary. Sometimes you have to balance things. So being a little bit more lax in security allowed the line to move faster and not create those bottlenecks that became safety hazards.
I think there were a lot of times where security was not on the same page as staff
Oh.
or as Bonnaroo.
Exactly.
A lot of
They-
people were not on
they
the
just-
same page.
They weren't on the same page in several instances, and I think that hurt Bonnaroo. And,
It did.
and I think that's. I don't know how Bonnaroo fixes that necessarily,
Well,
but I think
it's-
there were some times where it was like that.
Well, I think it was scary at one point because, like, after that stampede thing that JoJo and Charlotte went through, I'm pretty sure they opened the floodgates because the
did.
whole massive crowd started coming through, and it's like there's no way they're checking the bags.
They did not.
Yeah, after me and JoJo went through, and we finally got through, all we heard was woo, and we heard like people rushing in.
Yep.
So I don't.
And I mean, while like going through security is annoying, I think it's necessary
Yes.
because of all of the shootings that are going on.
gotta have a
Like,
medium.
I mean,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
Look for the guns. I mean, it's hard to conceal a gun in like a small, tiny backpack.
Now, to be fair, if
But-
somebody has gone through security to get into the campground, they probably didn't have anything at that point anyways.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Which
don't
brings
know
us
that.
back to like
Well.
the fact that security and like just Manchester City cops were like raiding campgrounds randomly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that
Can-
was
let's hear
that
from
was
Joseph.
scary because y'all had gone into Center Roo and I was sort of staying behind reading a little bit, refreshing because I'm a night owl. But
Yeah, he
then
was.
all of a sudden there was in our Plaza 5 area there was the Galactic Giddy Up tent and behind it was some camping, but all of a sudden was this stampede of officers, where state trooper looking, very official looking, running and ran up to the bus, and of course it scared me because I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here reading, but I sort of ducked down, not knowing, being my first time, and I sort of crawled like SEAL ops to the back of the bus, and they did a look around the bus, and then came the ponies. The horses came in, and apparently from grapevine, someone was raided in what was it, Bonnaroo area?
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was them.
No, it was Bonnaroo.
Was it?
And they also raided one of our mutual friends' camp
yeah.
as
And
well.
then they had some sort of bully appearance every other day.
Yeah.
They'd come in the...
I think the big thing with that, from what I've heard through friends in the know that know people that are in that segment of the organization.
And we should preface, you know a lot of people in this area, so yeah you have some connections.
And I think from what I heard, it was they are there not to take somebody's personal party favors and give them a hard time. Mm-hmm. They are there to make sure that there's not someone selling large quantities of something.
That's understandable.
That could potentially hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And that's the inside information that I get is, I saw cops walk up, saw people smoking, saw their baggie. Is that all you got? Yep, that's all I got. He goes, hey, have fun. And because they're not there to ruin your bad time, but they have to be protective that someone's not selling something, especially with the fentanyl issues.
I was going to say, let's be honest, that's an
with
issue.
Anything bad, we don't want any of that to happen to anybody, and that's their responsibility.
Yes.
And from what I had heard, it was mostly what they found was people that were selling mushrooms more than anything else at Roo this year.
I mean, I do think there is a medium with that has to be struck too. Like, you do want to watch out for that because, to be honest, that is an issue for people that do partake. Mm-hmm. But also, it's a bad look to just harass somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
There shouldn't be overt intimidation. You shouldn't be scared just to, like... I'm going to choose my words carefully here, but if somebody's just partaking in just a little bit with stuff they know is safe, let them be.
Yeah, I think there may be still you may still have to, and I'm not taking the cop side or anything here, but you may have to be forceful with some to make sure and find out that they're not there for nefarious reasons.
We have a bit of a biased perspective because we drive a hippie bus. So.
Well, yes, you guys drive a hippie bus. I drive a generic F-150.
We get extra eyeballs.
Or a giant RV that looks like. You can take it anywhere in the world. So are you splashing me?
I am. No, I got a bad vibe. I actually was there when they were raiding Bonnaroo.
Oh, really?
And I was very much on some Bud Light. I was really drunk. I'll say that. And me at a festival, I'm giving out trinkets all the time, like tahine and glow-in-the-dark dinos, and I'm just trying to, my goal is to bring a smile to everyone's face. So, and I like a challenge, so I'm next to this side-by-side with 2 cops in it, and they're chatting, and I walk up to him and I give him a dinosaur, and he was like, the fuck is this?
Really?
And then hands it back to me.
I didn't know that.
He throws it back to me, actually.
That's rude.
With the worst attitude. And I was like, okay, well, I'm walking away from here.
Unfortunately, there's people that are like that out there.
It sucks. I mean, I get it. You're from the real world. That's whatever. But I'm at home.
Well, I mean, when we
and
first
I'm
checked in,
100%
the K9 unit, I don't know if he was like one of the head police officers or security, but he was rather rude to me right off.
Yeah.
Being sort of interrogative, and I'm like, I take nothing stronger than a Flintstone vitamin in the morning.
We should give full disclosure too. Like, the Roo Bus was privileged to be able to come through the kind of the staging area, kind of like the bands do, because we were providing entertainment on Tuesday and Wednesday, so we make sure that we got in and got escorted to the spot we needed to be. And I was shocked that they were that rude in the same space that the artists come through. Yeah. Like, let's be honest, there's some artists that are coming through, like, Are they going to give pigeons playing ping pong a hard time? Because, I mean, let's be honest, if you've seen them before, they kind of look like some hippies coming in, too. So is that going to be their first introduction to Bonnaroo? Is some local cop being a complete jerk? I was kind of concerned in that context.
I think a lot of it has to do with the re-elections and like the politics in Manchester itself. Like after
Well, that's a whole other story.
I think you've got your bad apples here and there, and it's
Yeah.
going to be like that way everywhere. Whether you're a police officer, whether you sell stuff on the internet, there's going to be bad apples. We all have them in our own.
It's just a matter of who you get.
Yeah.
You're very right, Lindsey. That's true. Taco, you've been quiet. This is your podcast. What's on your mind?
I've just been sitting here listening to everybody else talk.
Okay,
'cause,
favorite show from this year. Start with Charlotte.
Zach Bryan, without a doubt.
Yep, great show.
Absolutely.
JoJo.
BTSM, Black Tiger Sex Machine.
Woo!
Wow. King Gizzard, no question.
Yeah. Yep.
Surprised on that
Yeah, I
one.
know.
I'm gonna go with Tool and Pucifer, put them both up there, but also shout out to Paul Cawthon. That show was
yes.
fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brooke?
I gotta go with Rez.
Oh, we knew it.
Even though Mark Rubier was right there at the top with her.
Oh,
Mark was such a fun set.
we
And
have
you were there with us.
we have taken whatever standing we have in the community to nominate Mark Riboulet as mayor of Bonnaroo for 2022.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He was all over the campground, all over
yeah.
the center roof from what I saw.
That's
I saw him in Centerville. Yeah.
My favorite
he's
show was
amazing.
kind of a tie between Charlotte Sands and Paul Cawthon. I
I
think
see y'all
those
both
were-
like the blue hair.
Yes.
It was
Yeah,
hard
that
to choose.
Charlotte Sands show
Charlotte
was-
she got in that little stage and she brought the fire.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And she rocked it out. They had major audio issues with the guitar, and like her drummer guitar. So one guy, he was trying to get the guitar to work, and he gave up, and he went out back behind the stage. She's like, "Where'd he go?" And he shows back up with an acoustic, and makes it work, and it was a lot of fun. It was just a fun show.
That's amazing.
Most surprising set from this year.
Oh, good question. Let's start. Let's go around. Charlie, you start.
Most surprising set? Ooh, you'll have to come back to me.
It wasn't, I wouldn't say surprising, but most, made me a fan was Lord Huron. So
Yes.
hearing them for the first time on the Witch stage made me a fan.
Oh, I got it. Griffin.
Yes,
Griffin's
yes,
sure.
that was a great show.
Billy Strings. Already liked him somewhat before, but seeing him live was like opening a whole new world
Oh,
for
he
me.
could play.
I'm not the biggest bluegrass guy, but seeing what him and his band do live, I'm like, okay, I get this, and I love this now.
I'm gonna say Blue to Tiger.
Nice.
We saw her at Okeechobee. She was wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brooke?
Alineium.
Oh,
I went
was a
into
good
that
set.
show. I went into that show not a fan. I do not like lyrical EDM, but I came out of that show, and I cannot stop listening to him. Incredible. Thanks, Joe, for
Yep,
getting
shout
me
out
into
Joe.
Alineium.
She's
I
awesome.
love you, Joe.
Mine, I think, was Maggie Rose. And I'd heard her, but so we rolled in after the storm. We were able to get on the rail for Maggie Rose because there was nobody there. I'm sorry, Maggie, you got screwed by the storm. But there was nobody there, so the four of us rolled up the rail and just stood there and leaned in the somewhat shade. And she sang her heart out, and it was so good how much just she put into the show for us. And we came out, and Dad was extremely emotional from it
Oh, man.
because he had never been on the rail and felt the bass in his chest like that. And we came out, and he had crocodile tears just from what the music had done to him and how thankful he was for just being at Bonnaroo. It was so cool.
You made me think of one more category to go around the round table for.
All right.
Moment that most brought you to tears this Bonnaroo. I feel like there's always an emotional moment. I got one I can start if nobody can think of one. Should I?
I mean, I was going to say the Chicks
Oh, tell us about that. Yeah.
when they played March.
Oh. Can you speak to that a little more?
I mean,
Tell about it.
when they played, I know I shouldn't get political, but when they played March, there were some people that got up and left. And I'm like, did you not know you were coming to a Chicks show?
Do you not remember what happened 15 years ago?
No, but just it was a very powerful moment, just considering the light of the world right now. So it was really,
I mean,
had really good graphics. For
I
it.
100% agree with you. They're on a different political spectrum than I am typically. but the way that was all put together,
Yeah.
I think was very, very well done.
Very powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very powerful.
I guess my absolute would be it was at the Stevie Nicks show, and I had a dear friend who we needed to sit and have some sort of time, and there was this moment of need, and then there was this leaning in of all of the Bonnaroovians around us, and they created a barrier so we could sit and have that time. And it created a barrier for us in the middle of that really busy show. And then there was this one, and I wish I got her name, but it was just in the moment. She leaned in and said, "This will make things better," and handed this beautiful little shiny disco ball on a string, and just was this absolute moment of I knew everything was going to be okay because everybody was looking out for everybody else. And just when that needed to be taken care of, everybody was there to make it better.
You don't see that at any other festival.
No.
You do not.
No.
And I felt, even though it was in thousands of people, I felt safest in that moment with all of those Bonnaroovians creating that barrier of protection for us when we need it the
Oh
most.
my gosh, Joseph. I haven't heard
Damn.
of
Yeah.
That's just a
Wow.
classic Bonnaroo story
Yeah,
right
dude.
there.
Yeah. Wow.
It's
Yeah.
Oh, man.
so magical.
I don't know how I can top that. I thought I had a good one, but I do not know. For me, it was the first time coming through the little snaky line, coming through the arch.
Yeah.
Where, like, there was all this pent-up emotion. Because, like, for so many people, we've dreamed about doing that for almost 3 years. So many of us have been through so many hard times, lost people, lost things. And, you know, we had been there already. You know, so everybody had set up camp and had been in the campgrounds, but really going through that kind of, like, almost ceremonial thing of, like, high-fiving everybody. The first time, you could tell there was so much pent-up emotion. It wasn't just everybody happy to be there, but it was like this big release after so many years, after going through so much hardship. And it was so cool to see that and see that emotion come from everybody, because you know how much work everybody put into doing that and how much everybody went through to be there. And I like broke down. I'm breaking down even more now because it's rare in life. Thank you, Lindsey. It's rare in life that you see kind of like a collective emotion like that, and I saw it then. And it broke me to see that, to see so many people happy to get past so much that they had been through, and to be so happy to be together.
Here, here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, here.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, don't
No, all good,
apologize.
dude.
No.
All good.
All right, Taco.
Well, I mean, I kind of had that moment after meeting Pondo. Shout out to Pondo.
Pondo!
Pondo, yeah.
So glad to see that big dude.
I need to join the army.
Me too, yeah. And it was, you know, we didn't, well, we hadn't planned to meet up or anything. I just was out in Bonnaroo, and I look over and I see horns. And I'm like, so I make a beeline for him, you know, say hey, talk to him for a little while, and, you know, just not to get into what we've gone through, but like neither of us honestly should have been there because of what we've gone through the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We've had a really rough couple of years.
That's what I'm saying.
And so just being able to, you know, finally meet face to face, and then just be in this place that we both love. I mean, that's what kind of moved me there. That was the moment for me.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, so many people like went through so much crap the past 2 or 3 years, and we always had that in the back of our mind that would happen. And when it finally did, it was just such a catharsis.
Right.
Yeah.
Bonnaroo was medicine.
Yeah.
It was the best
Yeah.
It's therapy.
mental health therapy. Yes.
Brooklyn, when was your
Oh boy.
big
I
tear moment?
had very, very many.
I know, me too.
But the one that really stood out was it was I had spent all day alone, and most of the festivals so far at this point solo rooming it, because I didn't have I don't know. Well, I finally decided to meet up with Daniel, and then this guy that I connected with on Tinder.
Okay.
Twitter. He's a good friend. Joe Ayers.
Oh,
Shout
he's
out
a
to
cool
you.
dude.
He saw Daniel's post through the Roo Bus, like, hey, we're gonna jump to all of these sets together, and I want a big group with us. Let's go. Let's do this. And he was he was the first one there. Well, I was. I ran up, hugged Dan. I was like, we're recreating a moment from 2019. And then Joe showed up, and it was so nice to finally meet him. He's such a great guy. This towering dude, like so tall, and just the sweetest guy. And then the moment in question was during Porter Robinson, because I had some of my favorite people there. You were there. And Porter Robinson to me is very, very, very emotional. And he played Sad Machine. And I was just standing in front of our group, and I was just, I like, when Porter Robinson plays, I revert back to, like, past traumas and, like, just the past, and then I reflect on what's going on in the moment, and just being away from Bonnaroo for so long, and then being there, hearing Sad Machine, one of my favorite songs of all time, by Porter Robinson, live, it just gave me this butterfly, euphoric feeling, and I could not stop crying. Okay. It was just, we are here. This is beautiful. I'm here with my favorite people. These are the people that matter. And it was in that moment that I realized, put your effort into the people that actually love you. Don't put your effort into people who are just going to step on you.
Yeah, I'm
Like
sorry, I'm
Cornbread
laughing at
would.
Cornbread.
Yeah, speaking of stepping
Under the
on,
microphone.
He's stepping on.
Corgi almost stepped on the
I
microphone.
mean, Cornbread is the only exception. If he steps on you, please love him.
Oh.
But yeah, it was just a magical moment. Thank you all for being there for that moment. But yeah, that was mine.
Last but not least.
I had like a bunch, but I said I was going to cry as soon as I got onto the property, and I was having so much fun I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Same, yeah.
And I think obviously the moment with Dad was incredibly special, with him having open heart surgery, double bypass in 2020, and then everything we've been through. Honestly, I mean, I had so many. It's hard to pick one out. It was a few shows here and there for my brother-in-law. The start of King Gizzard, I had a good moment with him. I think with Charlotte Sands, I had just this euphoric high after that show. I had to walk around for a dang hour just to find myself again. But yeah, I mean, yeah, when we got there, I was just emotionally happy. On Wednesday, on my birthday, all my friends showed up and wished me a happy birthday, and that was the coolest part. And I think I probably cried a few times just seeing my friends.
Yeah.
Just
Definitely.
seeing my friends here.
We rolled up onto the farm, and we have a tradition. We always play "Home" by Edward Sharpe. Yep.
Yes.
Oh, man.
And just rolling into the farm, listening to that, I could not help but bawl my eyes out.
I got dust in my eyes again.
Oh, that dang dust!
Come on,
Dust-
man. Daniel,
dust
you're
clouds
packing
came out of
dust
nowhere.
Around here.
Yeah.
I know we're wrapping up, but one thing I think we're tacking something at the end of our podcast and yours.
Yeah.
We gave out the Rooies on ours last time, and we gave out a lot of fun awards. But one that was real serious that we gave out, I think you're going to hear in just a few minutes, is we awarded Bonnaroovian of the Year to Lindsey. I know, Lindsey, you haven't been as public as many of us who have podcasts and do all this crazy thing. But y'all need to know, Lindsey has been in the background. He has single-handedly kept Bonnaroo going in our hearts for the past 2 years. And you'll hear more about this in a moment, but
Damn it, Daniel.
we could not
If it
hand
wasn't
it to
for you, we
him.
wouldn't have the same love.
You'll understand. We made up awards. We called them the Rooies. Basically, we were like recognizing a lot of people for different things. Mm-hmm. And some of them included Chloe. She was like the best cheerleader.
Evan was most happening because we saw him at the most shows. What were some of the other ones?
JoJo won one.
JoJo won Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Him and
Alana,
yes. What were some of the other ones we awarded? Best Totem.
Ryan was Bring a Smile to Your Face.
Yeah. But we purposefully waited 1 week for one because we wanted to award one that encompassed everything that was Bonnaroovian of the Year. A lot of people talked about this. We conferred with Russ, representing the What Podcast. I talked with Celia, kind of representing Parachute people, a number of other people. And we figured, like, everybody conceded there was no way it couldn't be. Let me tell you this. And by the way, this isn't just for this year. This is 2020 to 2022 because this was all one big Bonnaroo thing. This says, for his tireless work in living the Bonnaroo code, treating us all as family, welcoming us to his own farm, and being the best example of a Bonnaroovian should aspire to be, we decided that Bonnaroovian of the Year is you.
Oh my God.
This is, I want to say, it's on behalf of the Roo Bus, it's on behalf of a large part of the whole damn community. There's nobody more deserving than you, my
God,
man.
dude. Thank you.
So we just wanted you to know you have encompassed the Bonnaroo code and everything this community is about better than anybody. And this isn't just from us. So many people wanted to recognize you as this. So I want you to hang that in the RV or whatever.
I will. It will go in that. And honestly, it's. I had to find a way to pay to have friends. And this is a way.
Well, that didn't have to happen or whatever.
No, y'all are awesome. This is.
Some of the other awards we gave out were a little bit jokey and
incredible.
stuff. This one we mean from the bottom of our heart.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just come from the Roo Bus and the What
I can feel
Podcast,
it, dude.
but
This is
a lot of people. You made a lot of people feel welcome and at home in this spot right here for the past 2 years when we couldn't have a real Bonnaroo. I think I speak for a lot of people saying that we didn't really skip Bonnaroo because you hosted it here for us.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
Y'all
love you,
are
man.
fucking awesome,
Yeah.
dude. This is awesome. This
Yeah.
is so awesome. Thank you so much. to the videos that are going. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciated that. It was something completely unexpected. And I was just, being me and trying to keep my Bonnaroo spirit alive. And that was how I did it, is bringing you guys together. And I think we've become really good friends, all of us here.
Yes.
Because of what we did in our small little communities. To where when I was roaming... Are you making funny noises with that?
Not intentionally. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Way to ruin the moment.
But,
Now that I'm trying
walking through Bonnaroo, yes, I know a lot of local people that are always there. I could not walk from one stage to the other without bumping into someone who I've been connected with because of the fun we've had here. Because
Yes.
Bonnaroo got canceled, I met so many good people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And who would have thought? Bonnaroo canceled, sob, worst thing ever. I've made the best friends because of it.
We've been
had a
trying to
really
cover
good
more
time.
of the GA side in this whole conversation. I feel like that maybe is the best part of GA. When you go for so many years, you start maybe not knowing everybody personally, but you know of so many people who also go year after year. And, Bonnaroo, the corporate entity, and like Bonnaroo changes year after year. It evolves, but the community is here to stay, like Parachute people, Roo, church boners, like all these
Squeak
different...
Squad.
Yeah.
Well, Monkey Bar.
Yeah.
Monkey Bar.
It's
Monkey
out
Bar,
there.
yeah.
If you can find it, it will be worth every bit of effort.
Exactly. That stuff...
And that goes for any of the community. You can find church boners. Can you find Monkey Bar? Can you find the Parachute people? Mm-hmm. I did not get to participate in the Parachute because I wasn't in the right place at the right time. Can you find the ghost named David Bruce?
I did one
my
night.
God.
We did. Yes.
That man was the only person I didn't get to hug, and he
Same.
was a myth. I knew he was there, Never found it. Never. And I looked up and down.
He's another one of these great examples of like a perfect Bonnaroovian because like he's such a sweet guy, but it's his objective to put others first, to highlight Bonnaroovians, to kind of highlight the community. He is another person I would definitely give a nomination.
He's definitely an other people first.
He's
person.
someone I wouldn't have met had we not done it here.
Yeah.
If Bonnaroo, had not got canceled.
He's been here twice.
He's been here twice.
All the way from New York. Yeah.
All the way from
And
New York.
all of us wouldn't be sitting here if Bonnaroo had actually happened as intended.
There's some
Yeah,
kismet
if we
to
hadn't
that.
had COVID-19, if we hadn't had hurricane, I don't think we would be near as good of friends as we are now.
Exactly.
Definitely not.
You know, it's so heartwarming to know that that's the case for a lot of other circles that kind of overlap. The Ruan thing and the one that's going to be another.
And they're having one in September up there at the same
And they
place,
got
the
some pretty
Greenway
good,
Fest.
pretty good artists too.
That's got a lot of good stuff on it.
Floozies and
We'll
Cherry.
have to do a podcast on that, right?
So
Okay.
like
Yeah.
it's funny that there's like there's Bonnaroo, but then there's all these like kind of different circles in the Venn diagram of this giant community. That you're right, Lindsey. You're absolutely right. Maybe wouldn't have been as strong if it weren't for the past 2 years.
And I think there's a Nirvana-roo that
Yeah.
happened because of the cancellation that's also happening in September as well.
Man,
Interesting. All right.
yeah.
Yeah,
We have created traditions.
it's crazy.
All right, Taco. This is your thing. What else?
Well, let's do a little bit of admin before we wrap up. If you're not subscribed to the real Roo Bus podcast, Storytime at the Roo Bus, go check them out.
Can I give a plug real quick?
Yes.
Next week we're going to do a collab with a new Bonnaroo podcast, Bonnaroo. Our buddy Seth.
Yeah.
He is very sweet. He has more courage than us because he does it by himself. But I'm gonna co-host one with him next week. We're going to talk about kind of what we talked about today, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we would like to see improve for in the future. And then a couple of weeks from now, we're going to do. We're going to let women tell their stories about some of the stuff we talked about. But the next one that you're going to hear from us is Brooklyn is hosting with our Rookies of the Year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. So, yeah, go subscribe to them if you can't get enough Bonnaroo podcasts. There's definitely more out there. And if you're listening to this just on the audio version, we appreciate that. But we've been doing pretty well on YouTube. Come check us out. You can watch our shows on YouTube.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash that subscribe button. And if you came to us from YouTube, because we've had a lot of new viewers, we also do a audio podcast that you can check out too.
Brooklyn
Are you
has
okay?
lost control.
Lindsay has splashed me with this very cold water.
And hey, can I help give you a plug?
And
You
I don't
stream
do
video games on Twitch.
podcasts.
I
I
do.
just listen. So
Oh, okay.
I'm just at Lindsay Huffines on Insta.
Where can people find your video game streams?
Lord Taco _official on Twitch.
Nice.
Um,
Old games.
Old games, yeah. Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I haven't been streaming as much just because we've been so busy with Bonnaroo, but now that that's kind of behind us, I'm hoping to get back into it. So
Real quick, I think you
Yeah.
need to explain your Twitter account.
there's no explanation for that.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Anything else? We have a Discord. Come join our Discord. We've had a lot of people join that too.
What other Bonnaroo projects can we plug? The Rooham guys have a great podcast.
The Rooham guys do have a great podcast.
Follow
Shout
I
out
Am
to them.
Bonnaroo for great photography.
Yes, David Bruce.
Chloe.
Follow Shit I Eat
Shit
at
I Eat at
Festivals,
Festivals.
or
Chloe,
Bonnarooster.
the Bonnarooster.
Don't
Yes.
forget the dots.
Pondo.
Yeah.
Pondo.
Yeah,
Pondo
the
for
Pondo
sure.
Army. Yep, follow Pondo.
Yeah. Anyone else we haven't?
Bonnaroovian.
The Bonnaroovian. Kyle. Yeah.
Bonnaroovian. That's true. Kyle has the best memes of anyone.
He does.
Yeah.
Anybody else we didn't mention in this
We'll think
show?
of others later.
We'll probably think of others later.
Follow the What Podcast if you
The
haven't
What
already.
Podcast?
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
good idea. Yeah.
That's a pretty good idea.
At
yeah.
the what _podcast.
Consequences
On Twitter.
own
Underscore.
the What Podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Big shout out to Consequence, of course, for
Oh.
promoting us
What
and
are-
supporting us.
what are
And
your
Sir
pla-
Quacks a lot.
Sir Quacks.
And Sir Quacks a lot.
What
Who made
is-
another appearance.
What is the plan for the What Podcast in kind of the off season?
I don't know.
You don't?
We've got several other interviews that probably are out by now that we did at Bonnaroo. I think Brad and Barry are kind of ready for a little break, but I'm ready to keep going. I mean, so hopefully we can keep some more shows going and get some other guests maybe.
Let me just say this before we end. Poor Brad would have melted.
Oh,
Sorry, Brad. Love you, bro, but you would have melted.
yeah, this would have not had been his shining moment.
Nancy is like in the Wizards of Oz.
Fly, my
Does that make Taco and Barry the flying monkeys, and he's like the Wicked Witch of the West?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Ooh, Lord.
Can I end this with the way that we end things?
Go for it.
But I think it means more these days more than ever. Y'all, we say this at the end of the Roo Bus podcast. We really mean this. It isn't just a sign-off. Please, make Bonnaroo a 365-day-a-year thing. Get out there and radiate positivity.
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
Happy
All
Roo!
right, yeah. Well, thank you all for being here. Thanks for making this show happen, and we'll talk to you next week.
Consequence Podcast Network.